So for weeks and weeks and weeks, we've been talking about how the conventional way of thinking is all wrong. For many weeks now, I've had a lot of discussions with you on so many different topics about how we've been told to think and do certain things in certain ways by society, by culture, by norms, by societal and social norms. And we've been told that certain things have to happen, should happen, or you should think or do things in certain ways. Conventional and customary way of thinking. We've also talked a lot about how your past history with your parents, your life, their beliefs, what they have projected upon you has really shaped, at least up to this point in time, a lot of your life, the way you think, what you believe, what you think. What I know and what I have learned in my life, 42 years strong and counting, hopefully not even halfway through the race, is that the more we strip away these conventional ways of thinking, the more we pull back on what we're supposed to do, what we're supposed to think, the more we start to attack the cliches, and the more we start to attack the things that are just the default settings of the average person and human being, the more you actually start to understand a few things, actually. One, what it means to be alive. Two, the influence that you have in your own life, what you think, how you feel, and what you do. And three, that average is just wrong. Everything about it is wrong. Today, I just want to talk to you guys a little bit more about the most important and most valuable asset in life, which is time. But I want to add more detail to it because we all understand time is the only commodity we cannot create more of. Now, by exercising, by being healthy, by taking care of yourself, you can extend the time that you have. But at the end of the day, as we talked recently, the quantity shall never really define your quality. You could live to 100 and have a terrible life. The quantity will never define your quality. The quality will always define the true meaning, impact, and value of the life you've lived. And as you dive deeper and focus your energy and efforts more on quality, what does that mean? Quality time, quality life, impactful life, life well lived. When you stop focusing on the time, how many years old you are, I bring up the fact I'm 42 often. I do it sometimes just to keep myself sharp and remind myself I'm a grown man but still young. I'm kind of in a good spot, you know? But the reality is I'm only as old as I act and feel. If I'm in one of the best shape I've ever been in my life, if I keep going what I'm doing right now, I will be. Right? I just did 14% incline at 2.7 speed for 33 minutes yesterday and could have gone longer. I couldn't tell you the last time. I didn't even pay attention to the clock. The only reason I did 33 minutes is because I lost track of time. I was just going. I was in a zone and a flow and rolling. Quality, not quantity. My goal is to get the very most out of the time that I was spending yesterday, not how much time I was spending. And I felt like I had more to give, so I kept giving. I then got off the treadmill and pushed myself even more. I didn't even stop. I sat down, grabbed 2 sets of weights, and lifted. Didn't take breaks. I took breaths for 10 seconds, went back at it again, kept my heart rate high, and kept going. And it felt great. I told my girlfriend last night, this was the first time where I've left the gym thinking to myself, I had to push myself today, instead of I'm glad I made it through. And for me, that's a big turning point because it has nothing to do with existing. It changes the scope and the mindset from conventional way of thinking of do a 30 or 40-minute workout, do this exercise, and you'll be healthy, right? But most people go in with the mindset and the mentality of get through it, make it through, or just get it done, check it off, instead of the mentality of show up and get the most out of it. And so I wanted you to just kind of carry in that thought process and that theme into this discussion today. Because what I know to be true and important is time is our greatest asset. Quality is the most important quotient. And then ultimately the thing that I believe defines the most out of your life well lived is the moments that are forever woven in the fabric of your life. See, when I was younger, I collected things and I appreciated things. Many people did the same. I used things to define my achievements, my accomplishments, and ultimately dictate my happiness. I'm not saying that was a bad thing, actually. In fact, it was good. I couldn't tell you how proud I was when I brought my dream car and when I tricked it all out and when I would drive around and people would be staring at me and like Googling my car and feeling great. I dreamt about that moment since I was 16 years old. And it took me 20 years to get there. But I did it. And it felt great. 2 years later, it didn't mean anything anymore. But as you transition and get older, you start to realize and gain perspective, primarily for me, as my parents, my family gets older, and as you have more life experiences, it reshapes the way that you appreciate and think about life. See, my investments today are on moments and experiences, not on things or assets. The most money I spend, outside of just living my life and trying to live a comfortable life in some cases, is investing in new experiences. And what I learned is time, specifically timeless moments, which I'll define here in a moment, is the greatest investment you can have. See, you could spend $5,000 and get a great watch, a couple nice suits, really great night out, or you could invest $5,000 and go to Europe for the first time and experience new cultures and new ideas. And for me, I'm continuing to transition in that direction. In fact, I'll be in Europe for the first time in my whole life in a couple months. I'll be in Miami on Friday, celebrating moments in life. A relationship that I have with one of my best friends on his 40th birthday. And creating more timeless moments and memories. See, when I define timeless moments and memories, I define it as, in the last 5 minutes of your life, people have said, anecdotal stories have been shared, that a slideshow plays in your head. Like an old slideshow back in the day where you used to have that circle thing you put on top of it and you'd have to like insert the little photos on those little translucent cards. You guys know what I'm talking about? Uncle Rod, I know you do. Probably had one of those bad boys. Still do. And it just goes slide by slide. You click the clicker, right? It's got a cord connected to it and goes makes some noise, right? And the next slide comes up and it's a family photo. And the next slide comes up and it's a family photo. When I do a lot of reflecting, as you guys know, I do a lot of deep thinking. I try to put myself in situations and scenarios to force my mind to embrace these new concepts and ideas and to make sure that I drive myself forward through any doubts or adversities, through any struggles or uncertainties. And I use guiding principles to get me there. One of the guiding principles, one of the visions, one of the moments that I use is I sit down and reflect and I start to play my slideshow. Because timeless moments are moments for which are woven in the fabric of time that cannot be erased or forgotten, that your mind will always file away, and that you at some point in time can access as almost if you are there right now. You tell a story, you get goosebumps. You have a great memory, you begin to be emotional. You go back to a certain place and it feels like deja vu. These are things that are tied to your soul, the deepest parts of your mind, and that move you even when you think about it or reflect on them. And there are moments that you use to define a life well lived. I go through my Rolodex of these timeless moments. I sit down and visualize myself in my last day of life, minutes of life, hopefully 50 years from now. And I start to play my slideshow as really one perspective on the great life that I've lived so far, an appreciation of how lucky I've been, to value the people and the experiences that I've been able to create and share, to feel so enriched in the gratitude and gratefulness of how good life is. And then I play the slideshow and think to myself, what's next? And what's missing? And what do I want to fill in? See, I got these crazy moments in life. I got easy ones. Everybody here knows this. Easy ones. You vividly can picture your children coming into this world. Easy ones. I vividly can picture talking to the doctor after my son was born, after it took us forever just to get him out, and it looked like a murder scene in that room. Crazy. One of my favorite stories, actually, is that doctor. Easy with the kids. Another moment that always stands out to me is I worked so hard for the first 10 years of my life. So hard. And we had dreams. My wife and I at that point in time, we had significant dreams. We wrote them down. We talked about them. We were highly involved. I wanted to be a leader, build a great career, build wealth. I wanted to have a beautiful home and be able to be a homeowner and be proud of having a home, something I was proud of and I could build myself, which I really wanted to do and I thought was important. It was a great experience. We wanted to build and open a business to change children's lives and to give my wife an opportunity to create a livelihood and a purpose for herself. We had so many dreams and goals. We wanted to plan a wedding that nobody would ever forget. We wanted to have a honeymoon that would be a lifetime memory and something special. And I vividly remember getting off the plane at Bora Bora on this little landing strip on the edge of a volcanic island. These little dots on the outside of a lagoon. And standing there with my wife at the time next to me, putting my arm around her and saying, "Hey, we did it. Can you believe it? We did it." And even right now when I say this, first of all, she's not even my wife anymore. And I've moved on. That chapter is so far in the past. But you know what's interesting? Is I'm emotional right now telling you the story. It draws emotion to me because of how deeply rooted that moment was. I was standing in arguably the most beautiful place on the planet after throwing the greatest wedding for our friends and family that could possibly have been done, that was memorable still to this day for most people that went. After building a business that was incredibly successful and expanding that business immediately with all of my hard work and the funds and cash that I was able to provide through all of my efforts. After building a new home for ourselves and being able to move our family in. And after creating great success for myself inside of my career and overcoming so many challenges along the way. We did it. We made it. I can't believe it. It was an incredible moment. Timeless. Now, you may have heard the story before. You two for sure have. The sailing story, smooth seas, never made a skilled sailor. Craziest thing happened to me. Craziest, life in the universe is wild. Things happen you can't explain, and that make you think that there's definitely other things at work. I'm not here to talk about faith, but I am here to talk about the fact that crazy things happen for a reason, and it ties into this, what I'm telling you right now, which is when you have a deep-rooted desire for these moments, and you begin to visualize these moments in your mind of how they will feel, where they will be, who they will be with, what will be said and done, when you can visualize it to such an extent that it draws you to some semblance of emotion and feelings as if you were living in the moment, I believe you project that reality into the universe, and the universe reciprocates back to you. And I did it with this sailing trip with my dad. And so a week before I left, I had a dream about my father. And my dad was on the sailing boat, and I was on the boat too. And we were rolling along. And all I remember from the dream is that he looked over at me, hands on the helm, and said, "Jeffrey, isn't this great? What a time." And it resonated with me. It was one of those dreams where you wake up and you're like, it just sits with you. It stays with you. It is firmly implanted in your mind. And I swear to you, that on day 4 or 5 of this trip, I was riding in the back of that boat, and my dad looked over at me and goes, "Jeffrey, isn't this great? What an incredible time." And I'm telling you guys, time stopped. I literally sat there on the boat going, did that just happen? Oh my God. And for me, it was this beautiful symmetry of dreams and vision, of goals in life, of moments that are forever going to be timeless, tied into the universe and life, just delivering me a gift to say, this is meant to be. Take it all in. I know I have a timeless moment that you may have heard a story about of sitting in my empty house. It is one of the most profound moments of my life. Because, by the way, timeless moments don't necessarily need to be of joy. They need to be of circumstance that ultimately is a turning point or can help define your life. And I remember sitting in my house empty with all the lights off, no furniture, no people, no lights, nothing in the fridge, a small couch and a footrest, alone. And I literally can remember and feel the feelings. In fact, it's tough to even say it out loud because it's such a powerful moment and the feelings were so intense of what that moment was like. But what stands out to me is not the pain or discomfort of that moment. What stands out to me is the choices and decisions that I made in that moment. The thoughts that came to my mind and ultimately the direction that I chose to go in my life and the mantras that I was going to use to become a better man and build a new life for myself. Yea, though I stand in the rain, cold, and darkness right now, I know this too shall pass. I shall move through the woods and the darkness. I shall continue to stand in the rain, knowing that there's an end in sight, seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and moving forward with a relentless pursuit to get to the other side. And one day, I shall stand in the sun. One day, I shall stand in the warmth and feel it on my face and skin. And I shall know that I made it. Makes me cry to say out loud. Because that mantra was created in that moment. My conviction, my steadfast desire to move forward was created in that moment. It's a timeless moment. A story I continue to share. Hopefully, inspires others. It's a story I would actually tell one of my leaders, probably on a weekly basis, that mantra out loud as we work together to get me to the other side. So, of course, on the other side of that is what? The moment. There's two of them, really. The warm sun on my face and skin, knowing I had made it to the other side. The first one was my region finished number one in the whole company in refinance. And I was sitting on the back patio. Rod, we've been there before. La Albatross. We've been in that same spot before, actually, Rod. And we sat in the back patio of La Albatross, me and my leader, and we toasted to being the number one region in the whole company. And I took a deep breath, and I said, I made it. Because professionally, I was the exact opposite, probably about a year prior. I had made it, and I was grateful. The second one was my solo hike trip. There was a moment about 3 hours, maybe 3.5 hours into my solo hike in Colorado, where I stood literally at the edge of a cliff. The path was terrifying. It was like a 4-foot path. I literally had my hands on the edge of a stone cliff just to try to balance myself, and if the wind blew, have some semblance of faith I wouldn't fly away. The sun had just come up in about 2.5 hours prior, and was still lower in the sky. The temperature was coming up. There was a cool breeze, and I could see for hundreds of miles, it felt like. And I was there solo, for the first time by myself, pushing and challenging myself to be the best version of me and proving to myself that I can do anything and go anywhere all by myself alone. To break through any barriers or doubts that I had and to push myself forward even further. Because I knew the next journey I had in life, I would need that mentality and strength. And these moments are what would propel me forward and define it. And I stood at that ledge for 20 to 30 minutes. In fact, I have a video on my phone of it. Wind's blowing, peaceful and serene. And I thought to myself, I can feel the warmth on my face. I feel alive. I feel the wind. I feel nature. I feel my breath. And then I reflected and I said, man, I'm grateful to be alive. Life is so good. I had a similar moment in the Virgin Islands. I sat on a rock for 30 minutes. I have a video of that one too. And had the same type of reflection. See, there's so many moments inside of life that are ultimately going to define the life well lived. What I ask you guys is, when the slideshow starts to play, and you start going through the only thing that you really have to take with you, because I know that if these moments are that deeply connected to your soul, that either they'll never be forgotten or you'll always have them with you, wherever this journey may take you, in this chapter or the next. And you have to make sure that that slideshow is the best one you've ever seen. So what's your moment? What's your next moment? Where are you going to go? Who are you going to be with? What are you going to experience together? What feelings and emotions will be felt and expressed? And how will you remember that moment for the rest of your life? Timeless moments. At the end of the day, are all we have. Find your next one. And so just think about it, guys. Look, action item for you, as always, is do something with this. You got until the end of the business today, probably, until this is out of your mind. And so you got to the end of business today, Rod, to even sit down and just talk to your wife tonight. For real, man. Same with you, man, right?